See if anybody shows up. Hello, everybody. We are
Howdy.
live. We just got out of the show. We got into our rooms. Jonathan got home safe and sound. It looks like um, two legs. Tom Hunyadi here. As I said, just got out of the show. We are in New Orleans and we are joined by someone who we should have had on the show long before already. So I'm happy that we finally worked out that he's on the show. And we got Jonathan Pretis here. Jonathan, my friend, Ranking the Beatles. As you can see behind him, the awesome poster behind him on the door, Mr. Ranking the Beatles. Unfortunately, Julia has got a little whooped, so I guess she's turning in for the night. But before we get
pumpkin hour
talk,
for her.
Yeah, there you go. But before we talk about tonight's show, just give us a little info on how many times you've seen Paul, where have you seen Paul, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, this was I think this was the fourth time. I've only ever seen him here in New Orleans. We caught him in 2019, I think it was, maybe 2018. Then before that, it was 2014. And then I think before that, it was 2002. Like on the driving tour was the was the one before that. Yeah.
Okay.
So this was, and it's always been, he's played the Smoothie King Center every time since I've seen him. This was number 4.
Oh, excellent. And different set lists for every time that you've seen them. So this was, again, kind of like the basic set list that he's been doing the last 25 years or so with a few changes, here and there. But, I want to get your take. I want to get 2 takes from you. I want to get a take from you as a fan, and I want to get a take from you as a musician, because if people don't know, not only is Jonathan a fantastic podcaster, but he is also a wonderful musician. And I want to, here, hold on first. We got to say hi to Patrick here. Hello, sir. Thanks for joining. And we've got wonderful Gabby here as well. Gabby Weeks, she's getting ready to see Paul in Atlanta for both shows here next week. So I'm looking forward to hearing her thoughts. But tonight's show, we got a bite to eat, which was nice. It was nice to hang out with you and your lovely wife, and for a few before the show. But
discovered we had matching socks on.
Yes, we had matching socks.
Both rocking the wing socks.
Yeah. We didn't have matching teeth, but we did have matching socks. So there's that. But what were your anticipations for the day? What were you kind of looking forward to?
Yeah, I think going into it, like, I knew the set hadn't changed on this tour, so like I was kind of cool with like knowing what was coming, and I think I was maybe expecting. There's so much chatter about the state of his voice at this point in his career. And I think I was expecting worse than what I got. He sounded really good, I thought. I dare to say he maybe sounded better than the last time he was here. His falsetto was in great form. I thought, he sounded really good. I think they're spacing these shows out really smartly. So he can, recover and be in as good a shape as he can be. I felt really lucky to be there, more so than maybe the other times I've seen him. Like, I think it's one of those things, especially the last couple of years with the release of Now and Then, and, kind of the talk of like mortality that I think that kind of is brought up of like, time, is undefeated. At some point, all 4 will be gone. And having another chance to see him and be in his presence, while he is delivering these amazing songs that, yes, you've heard them a million times, but to watch them come from him, it's just, the whole thing is just this amazing display of love. Like I felt like I was smiling the whole time. I felt like I was just in a loving space for 2.5 hours. And it felt wonderful. It's funny. I was looking at the set list on Setlist FM when we left, and counting the number of times that I teared up and or just straight up cried. And I got a solid dozen times, man. Like, first song it comes out, Help, it's just like there we go. Which
now the big controversy is that he's doing Help. I mean, how did you feel about him doing Help? Since I mean, it is such a well-known Lennon song. You know, what were your thoughts on him performing Help?
I'm totally cool with it. In the same way, I'm cool with him doing Mr. Kite or doing Something, or John doing I Saw Her Standing There with Elton John, like with Paul song. Like, I'm totally cool with it. It's songs that they were a writing partnership, and John, for whatever however you want to take it at this point, like, he represents that catalog as the other half of the partnership. So I have no gripe with it. I love that he's doing it. It's something different. What I think is interesting, and I first noticed it a few weeks ago, when it starts, the track is playing, like the Beatles version of Help is playing along with the band. You can hear John's vocal plain as day. You can even hear George's guitar on the first and then it kind of fades out, and then Paul takes over. But when they start that song, the Beatles are you're hearing the Beatles plus Paul and band, which is a really interesting move. It's like it's helping him kind of like get situated and get his pitch and get the space, and then he's off. But I thought that was really interesting because he doesn't do backing tracks, and it's just there for that intro. But I love that he's doing it. I think it's a really nice kind of like tip of the hat to something he's not done before. But that song started, and there came the tears, and then they came again for Coming Up, which I don't know why. That makes no sense. Let Me Roll It, for some reason, got me real emotional. Just all these different points where I don't know why I was just getting really welled up with tears. That there's that kind of triad. I was telling Julia how much I love Dance Tonight. Like, that song is just such a happy space. Like, it just makes me feel so good. And then he hits you with Blackbird, Here Today, and Now and Then. So I went from this like really happy, like good time spot to just like emotional wreckage. Just 10 minutes of just crying the whole time. As a fan, I loved the show tremendously. A small moment that maybe means nothing, and maybe I'm projecting into it. And I know he's doing the same show, and he's done the banter's kind of the same and things like that. He finished doing Here Today, and then he walked over and he said something, and he walked over to the piano, and just as like a quick aside was like, I finally got to say I love you to him, and then started the next song. And it didn't seem like a pre-planned thing that you would say. It just seemed like a genuine comment. And then he launched into Now and Then, and it kind of made me go like, oh God, like that's
and he doesn't and he doesn't introduce Now and Then at all. He just goes into it. And with the banter, the last 4 times, I mean, this was my 4th time seeing it on this tour. He kind of it kind of changes a little bit here and there. The stories are the same, but he'll maybe like add something or say something a little differently, so it's a little different. And then you hear the crowd laughing because probably most of the crowd is either seeing him for the first time or haven't seen him in 10, 15 years, So, you made a good point earlier too about feeling lucky to see him. You're smiling and you're feeling lucky. I felt that way in 22 when I saw him in SoFi in California at the end of the show. And it just changed my perspective, because I was one of those people where like I wanted to stop doing the road. I wanted just to concentrate on on studio albums, but something about that show just changed that for me. And now I want to see him as many times as possible.
Yeah. Well, I think, I saw something somewhere, and I've heard people say this before, where it's like, I think he understands and appreciates the response that he knows he gives people. Like he understands the weight of the responsibility of being Paul McCartney and what that does for other people and the way it makes them feel. And I don't think he takes that lightly. I think he understands that that's a big responsibility, and it's a gift to be able to go out and put that out into the world. Like, especially like these days where it's like, where else can you go find things that make you genuinely happy for 2 hours and not worry about the state of the world? Like, that's a rarity. And he can do that at the drop, just by walking into any building in the world. He can make everybody smile. That's incredible.
Listen, I was sitting next to two women, and this was the first time that they were seeing Paul McCartney. They're probably right around, or I think they're right around or a little younger than I was. And they were McCartney fanatics. And the one I was saying to, I mean, was crying constantly, singing constantly, they were hugging each other constantly. And, and like I said, this was their first McCartney show ever. And it just, watching them just made me love the whole experience even more, and that's part of the show too, is seeing it through other people's eyes, who hadn't seen him before. And it's one of the things that I've come to really enjoy with these shows, is just seeing other people's, reactions to this genius.
Yeah. One of my bandmates was there with his son, who is, I think he's 5 or 6. And, he's already taken to music, both of his parents are musicians, his grandparents are musicians. So like, it's in this kid's blood. He's going to be brilliant whenever he, is old enough. But he already has a real understanding of the Beatles, and like at 5 years old is like picking out Lady Madonna on the piano and like doing these ridiculous things. But he brought him to the show. And this is like his first real like arena show of like someone who's not like one of his father's bands, and just, he had the biggest smile on his face when I saw him after the show. He's like, what was your favorite song? He's just like, I don't know. It was all so good. Like, so seeing that like multi-generational thing is just amazing. Like, it's so lovely to see. Yeah.
How about that new intro to Live and Let Die? That was a kind of cool add to the show.
Yeah, that was cool. I didn't know where that was going for a second. Like, I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like, I love that, like, even though so much of the banter and so much of the shtick is like the same, there's always something a little different, that kind of, makes you go, okay, cool. I didn't see that coming. That's cool. I like that.
Right. So before we talk about what your thoughts as a musician, you are, as I said, you are a musician. You are in a Beatles cover band. Talk about that for a second.
Well, it's called the Walrus. And, we're not necessarily like I guess we call it a tribute, because we're not like a tribute band. We don't dress up. We don't do wigs and accents. The most that we do is like, we have Shea Stadium jackets that we wear for like the good gigs, but it's kind of the concept of like, some songs we play exactly as they're on the record. Some songs we take a little bit of liberty with, because like, our view is kind of similar. It's kind of like, the songs shouldn't just be, a fossilized thing of like, this is the only way this song can ever be. We kind of all agree that like, music should be like a living, breathing art form. And the way it should be played is how you as a musician play it as an individual. That's what makes Beatles versions so great, is like their individual contributions. So, we're not super precious with everything, but we really put a lot of love and care into what we do. And if I didn't think we were doing justice, I wouldn't do it. Because like I personally wouldn't want to be in like just a wig band that just does the thing and that's it. Like, that wouldn't really thrill me too much. But we really, we have a really good time with it. We're making a record right now of different arrangements of Beatles songs that I think is really going to be good. We got a grant through a program here in New Orleans to do it. So we're taking different songs and doing different arrangements. Like I was telling you, we're taking, different things like This Boy and saying, well, what if Fats Domino did This Boy? What would that sound like? Or with a little help from my friends, what would it sound like if Big Star did that? And just taking like different ideas and just kind of throwing things together for fun and seeing, like what if we took, I've Just Seen a Face and got like a country punk thing behind it, like a bunch of like trucker speed country punk type thing, and do that, So we're just trying all different kinds of things and having a really good time with it. And that'll be out, I think in the spring. And we typically tour kind of like Gulf South. Is kind of like our radius that we usually do. We're going down towards Orlando in May. So if you're in Orlando, come see us in May.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's fun. I love being in that band.
Excellent. Real quick, Gabby says, Tom, was it a nice change to see Paul in such a special city compared to the last few shows you attended? Did you feel Venus and Mars in the air? Absolutely. This show was in a smaller venue, the Smoothie King. It's was bigger than the center in Tulsa. Much smaller than Minneapolis and Vegas, but I really love these smaller venues for Paul. The acoustics are just 10 times better. But Jonathan, as a musician, give me your thoughts. How did you feel it went at a musician's standpoint tonight?
Yeah, I'm still amazed at how amazing a player Paul is. I forget what song it was. Let's see. I'm looking at the set list. I want to say it was maybe. What song was it? I can't remember which one it was, but he just does these little bass fills going into the chorus, and it's just like, that's Paul McCartney. Like you just hear, like you can hear the way he plays and the tone in his fingers, and it's just like, that's the thing. And like, he still does it, musically, he's so gifted. He's such a great player. And I read an article the other day. I don't remember how I found it. It was a review of a show from like 2004, 2003. And this person really did not like Paul's band. When I tell you, they, for no reason, tore apart every member of that band. Like, wow. In a way that seemed personal. It was weird. Like, it said that the band had no identity. They were just faceless, ham-fisted bashers with no feel or respect for the music. And I can't think of anything further from the truth. Like, that band is so goddamn good. Like, they're just so good. Rusty Anderson is such a great lead player, and all of them do exactly what the songs call for. And I think that's what the article didn't get, is like, you don't need to be flashy. You don't need to do, right. You don't need to necessarily put your personal imprint on a song when like Paul McCartney's delivering his song. You're delivering Paul McCartney's song. The parts are already there. That band just plays them so well, and they've got so much care for it. I'm always impressed by their vocal blend is so good. Abe Laboriel is just such a beast. Like, he's got such a good voice. Like, while he's playing drums, he's such a great singer. And he's a phenomenal drummer. He's in the pocket in the same way Ringo is. He pushes things when he wants to push them. Like, it's just, they're so good. And, even, the guitar player on the Walrus, everybody from the band was there tonight. We were all sitting in different spots, and our guitar player was sitting in those seats that are kind of side stage to the rear. So he had like a good view of like the guy doing monitors, and then like a side view of the band. Yeah. Right. And he was like picking up different licks that he like wasn't catching in songs we play. He was like, "Oh, I figured out this whole section of getting better that I never quite had figured out, but now I've got it because I watched what they were doing." And I'm like, "Oh, this is great." We all, I think, everybody is. We're just, every time you see that band, it's just, they're so good. Like, I'm so glad that he's been with them now 22 years, something like that.
Right.
That should tell you all you need to know. Like, whoever wrote that article was a fool.
Yeah,
I'll have to find it and send it to you. It was really weird.
Please do. A lot of people were like, "Well, what's the you don't have anything bad to say." I mean, these shows, really is nothing bad to say. I mean, we all know about the set list. Yes, we would love it. I would personally love it to be more solo heavy rather than Beatle heavy, because these shows are pretty much 2/3 Beatles songs, and that's really my only criticism for these tours, these shows, is that it is just, I mean, the encore, you go from "I've Got a Feeling" to "Sgt. Pepper's" to "Helter Skelter," into the "Golden Slumbers" medley. He used to throw "Hi Hi Hi" in there in the encore, so at least it's not so Beatles heavy. But I mean, how do you feel? What's your feelings about it being so Beatle heavy?
I think it's tough because, like, I thought about this when I would go see, like, Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds before the Oasis reunion, and he wrote all the songs in Oasis, and he would structure his shows where it was like the first half was solo stuff, and then the second half was all Oasis stuff. And the reason is just like, it's his body of work. Even if it was delivered under a different banner, it's all part of his body of work. And I kind of feel that's the same with Paul, is like, there's, what do you have? 7 Wings albums in total? Is that right?
Was it 7 or 8? Yeah.
Right. 7 or 8. And you've got 12 Beatles albums plus plethora of singles. So there's more Beatles songs to choose from. There's more well-known Beatles songs. I do think it would be great to see a world in which, and even Julia was saying this on the drive home, like, just a Wings focused show would be amazing. Even if it meant, do 2 nights at theaters in different cities. So it's not just like, here's the arena show with the pyro and all that. Like, find places where you can do something that's a bit more, you can stretch a little bit more, I would love to. I'm surprised he's never done like something like with an orchestra. Like, that's always struck me as like, that would be a brilliant thing to see.
Those are kind of interesting. I mean, Elton John did it, I think, back in the late 80s, early 90s. I think he did that with Australia Sympathy. I mean, Metallica has done it.
Metallica,
Kiss has done it, so it's just like,
Kiss,
yeah, right. I mean, that is a very interesting, I thought, for him to do something like that. And Gabby's saying, bring back, Flaming Pie. I mean, that's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
It's love Flaming Pie.
I was thinking about this the other day in terms of songs that he never seems to play. And I remembered how much of a push The World Tonight got when Flaming Pie came out, because I really love that. I love that album. I love that song. And I think it would be a great live song, and it's never come back. I don't know why. I would love to hear that come back.
He does do it in sound check from time to time.
The World Tonight?
And no, I'm sorry, Flaming Pie. Flaming Pie.
Oh, okay.
I thought we were talking about
if he did The World Tonight.
The World Tonight. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. Because when I saw she said Flaming Pie, I thought about the album, and that made me think about that song. That's such a great song. It's a really cool Beatlesque, but a really cool tune that I would, it's weird how or a song like New hasn't been around in a while. Like, the ones that are like the singles on the album seem to kind of fall off, but yet we still get Come On to Me, which I think is interesting. He's still doing
Dance
like he did For You.
Yeah.
Dance
Tonight.
Tonight.
He did For You for a little while, and he's doing
it was in Soundcheck today.
Yeah, okay.
He did For You at the Soundcheck today.
Oh, I love it. Great.
Yeah.
Good.
He's just, I mean, he's got the dilemma of he's got so many songs that everybody wants to hear. And I have to assume to an extent he probably operates under the assumption that, he's making a set list for the person who is coming there to see him for the first time. And it's like, what does that person need to hear? They need to hear the Beatles stuff. They need to hear the big obvious Wings hits. Like, that's what he's going to do. And that's just, that's the price that we pay as the ones who see him numerous times. But it's hard to argue with it, like, because what you're listening to at home anyway. You're going to get to see the guy sing it in person. Like, how do you argue it? That's amazing, Like, numerous times tonight, we would turn to each other and just go, hey, that's Paul McCartney. That's Paul McCartney. He's right there. We're right here in the same space, breathing the same air. How lucky are we to do that? It's amazing.
Yes, I mean that we live in this time, this time frame of his 83-year, lifespan at the moment, and we're in it. Yeah. We're just lucky. We're just lucky to be in it. So it's fantastic. It's a great show. Again, like I said, this was a smaller venue, and it was good. There was when he was doing Here Today towards the end with the acoustic. I mean, it did sound a little bit. How would you call it? Like feedback or something like that with the. I mean, I know it's not necessarily feedback, but it did sound a little off towards the end. I don't know if that was a mixing issue or not.
Yeah, there were a couple of questionable moments of within the mix where it was like, what happened there? Yeah. It just seemed like there was a little bit of a hum probably from the monitor in front of him. Okay. Because that's the tricky thing with acoustic guitars is, you've got a sound hole on the guitar and then there's a speaker in front of it that's blowing sound into the sound hole. And sometimes that'll create a bit of a kind of loop. Mm-hmm. But they knock it out fast. His crew is, every crew, has a feedback issue at some point in the night. And I do believe when he says he's got the best crew on the planet, I can't imagine he's got anybody that's not the best at their job. Right.
Absolutely. So
I do think if I have to pick one, if I can real quick, if I had to pick one gripe about his show, please. Is that I would love to see updated visual graphics. I feel like he's used a lot of the same video and graphics going back to if I remember correctly in 2014 when he does Blackbird and he's on the pedestal thing that goes up. Right. It was the same skylight thing when he does it's probably
Helter Skelter, I think. Yeah.
And some of it wasn't so much this time. Last time we saw it, there were graphics that I was like, are these screensavers from Windows 95? This looks like a Winamp setting. What is this?
The Blackbird too. I mean, it seems such ancient technology,
glitchy, and one of the Oasis show that we saw in London, the visuals were so amazing. The capability of what people can do now is so high. It's I feel like you could do a little better, but also I get that who cares? At the end of the day, who really cares? It's Paul McCartney. You're not there for the visual. You're there to finish him.
Right. And then the point you made too about being in such a big band and then the solo career. I'm also a big Morrissey fan and Smiths fan. I love the Smiths, but I also love Morrissey's solo career too. I think he does it good where he'll focus mainly on his solo career, but then sprinkle in some Smith songs in there too. So I kind of like the way the way he does it, because let's face it, I mean he's been a solo artist longer than he was in the band. So I respect how he does that. But then again, like you said, he's got to do the Let It Be's, he's got to do the Hey Judes, he's got to do the Band on the Runs, and that's the album that he really does the most songs from is Band on the Run. I mean, he's still doing four songs from Band on the Run.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's the highlights for you?
Highlights for me, Coming Up was great to hear. I thought the band sounded great on Coming Up. I really enjoyed that. Letting Go was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought Help was a great opener. I I'm in like a Wings kick right now, so like I was down for like all the Wings stuff. Let 'Em In sounded great. Like we just played that last weekend and had such a great, like I've got such an appreciation for that song. It's so fun. Now and Then was a real highlight for me. It made me appreciate the video maybe more, because I know I kind of thought the video was kind of hokey when it first came out, but I think I enjoyed it more in the context. It seemed more like the kind of thing you'd see at a show. Like it made sense at the gig for me, as opposed to like, here's the video and then you watch it.
Right. Did it sound like he was singing to John's vocals to you?
Not on Now and Then. I didn't hear it on Now and Then.
Okay.
I felt like
I think I do hear it.
I was wondering, and maybe he was, but I was wondering if maybe Abe was doubling the vocal.
Okay.
Because I know he does do that sometimes. But it's possible that maybe John is also doing it as well, because they're probably playing that to a click, and then you can put those kind of things in to do that.
Okay.
But I'm not mad about it, even if he is. So,
right.
Yeah.
Cool was this your first time seeing him do the I've Got a Feeling with the John?
With John? Yeah.
Vocals?
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, and I've watched it on online, whether it was like a Glastonbury or just footage of it. It's amazing and it's so simple. I remember when Natalie Cole did the duet with Nat King Cole, with her dad, and he'd been dead for years, and they did that duet, and that was like the height of amazing technology. And it was beautiful. I really enjoyed like that moment. It was just like one of those moments of just kind of like hand over the mouth going like, wow, this is beautiful. It's nice to see a good thing technology can do,
Right. Yeah. Before we get to the one thing that I want to talk about with you, I want to give a couple shout outs. I got to see Lonnie Pena from the When We Was Fab podcast. So it was good to hang out with Lonnie for a few minutes. I met some Two Legs fans, Mark and Mary Carville. We were hanging outside while we were waiting for the outside merch to open, so it was really great to talk to you two. And Matthew Turnage, who's been a Facebook friend for a while, so hung out with him right before Paulie did his thing. So it was great to see all of you there. Now, Jonathan, you were extremely lucky to get a early access screening to the Man on the Run documentary. And I think this was the night before, right?
Last night, yeah.
So, yeah. So let's talk about that. Was that during a film festival here in New Orleans?
Yeah. So they just had the New Orleans Film Festival, which technically ran Saturday to Monday. And I guess right before they released their schedule, Amazon reached out and said, hey, what would you guys think about doing a screening of this movie? And they said, we'd love to. They said, well, we want to do it on Tuesday, the night before Paul comes and plays. They said, well, our film festival ends on Monday, but I guess for Paul, we could add another day. So they added a whole nother day to the film festival just to accommodate the documentary. So they had it at the Britannia Theater, which is a small single-screen theater here in town. I think it's the oldest surviving single-screen theater in the country, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
So it was really cool. Morgan Neville, the director, was there. Scott Roger, Paul's manager, was there. He lived in New Orleans for a long time. I don't know if he still does, but I suspect that's probably partially how this kind of came together.
Hold on one second, Jonathan.
Fortunate.
1 second. Had you seen Neville's Mr. Rogers documentary?
Yes.
Wasn't it a tearjerker? I mean, such a well done documentary.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was another. Yeah, I remember like vividly like tearing up during during that documentary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they announced it a few weeks ago, and I got lucky. Jason Krupa, who does Producing the Beatles podcast, texted me about it. And so we grabbed tickets for it. And I mean, they were gone quickly. It was a packed house last night in the theater. So Scott Roger came up and did a quick intro for the movie. Then they screened it, and it's a beautiful film. There's nothing earth-shattering. There's no earth-shattering revelation that you don't really already know. But I think stories are presented in more vivid detail. There's a lot of archive video and pictures that have not been seen before that are really effective in kind of really, I think, showing like the state that Paul was in Scotland, especially. The Scotland footage is incredible to see. That's really, really cool. There's a lot of great footage in Rude Studios when they're working on Wildlife, kind of early band rehearsal stuff. And there's great in-studio footage, for Band on the Run. It's interesting. There's virtually no mention of Venus and Mars. Virtually no mention of London Town. There's a good bit of Back to the Egg footage, which I thought was interesting. There's a lot of Back to the Egg. He gets really candid about, he gets candid about a lot of things, and he lets the other Wings members be pretty candid about things that they were not always happy about.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because that's kind of the difference between this and Wingspan, which is one of the things I was very disappointed with Wingspan, because there was no really inclusion of other band members. And plus, there was more of them alive back when Wingspan came out. Now we're getting down, unfortunately, because as you said, time is undefeated. But it's really cool that other Wings members got to get a say in a documentary.
Yeah, I think Morgan Neville said that he did Denny Lane's last full-length interview was for this documentary. So Denny's got a good bit in there. There's also there's a lot of voiceover from interviews done at the time. So you're getting not just historical perspective, but like kind of real-time telling of the story as well. One thing he said that Paul said early on was that he didn't want to do talking heads. And he didn't want it to be like the old man reflecting on his life. So while he does have voiceover, there's a lot of real-time interview, Paul discussion that kind of tells the narrative, or real-time narrative from all the members, I should say. So I think that's done really well. It's beautifully presented documentary. Like, they worked with an animator to kind of do different visual effects that are kind of like handmade, like in the same. And he said the inspiration was kind of in the same way that like the cover of Ram is handmade. Like it's very much like hand drawn stuff, very DIY. So it kind of has like this DIY visual aesthetic and a lot of like transitional things that are really cool. It's really neat.
Yeah, that is getting more and more popular in documentaries. Kind of like a animation or stop motion, if you will. And I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah. It definitely seems. I think it makes it kind of the moment, and in 15 years that kind of style might be antiquated, and we're on to something else. But I think it looks really good. I think it's real. I was really pleased with the documentary. I was nervous because I'd heard people, it's the same stories, and like to some extent it is, but like there's a bit more root to it, I think, which was
I think it also played in a Denver film festival, and I don't think it got a very good review.
I think it was the Telluride Festival was the other one.
Yeah. Okay.
But I thought I really, really enjoyed it. I look forward to watching it again because there's so much, it's just, there's so much that I feel like you hadn't seen. You were just kind of taking it all in. And I'm trying to remember things that I could tell people about. And while also sitting there, like, because the theater we were in was an Atmos theater. And so I'm hearing these Atmos mixes and I'm going like, oh my God, I've never heard this on Uncle Albert before. Holy shit. Like, this sounds incredible. So it was definitely an overwhelming experience, but I really think it's a good documentary. It's not necessarily going to be like Get Back in the sense that like you're going to learn all these new things that change everything you thought you knew. But I think it's in the same way that like Beatles 64 was made for like general public new fan.
Yeah.
I think this is that same idea, but done way, way better. If that makes sense.
Good. Yeah, yeah. It does, because you do see a lot of documentaries these days that are kind of, made for the newer fan, not necessarily the diehard. And we got friend Nick's Mr. Syed. How you doing, my friend? Thanks for being up and watching tonight as we review or recap tonight's New Orleans show. And Jonathan's here just giving us a little bit of a review on the Man on the Run documentary. So really appreciate that, Jonathan, you giving us the insight on that documentary.
Yeah. And
go ahead. Go ahead.
To comment here, Serjeet, you said barely any Linda photos. I assume you're talking about in the show graphic?
In the show, in the show. Yeah, especially during, you get a little and maybe I'm amazed, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I will add, the documentary has a ton of Linda perspective as well. And she, I think, really gets her flowers, as the kids say, in the documentary. It really does good by her. So I think that's really good.
Excellent. Yeah. Jonathan, talk about Ranking the Beatles, and where can people find it? And you've been talking about getting some new shows together soon, and go ahead.
Yeah, Ranking the Beatles is the podcast. I host it with my wife Julia. The concept came about during the bygone days of COVID, where we were sitting around the house with nothing to do. And I wanted to see if I could just rank the entire Beatles catalog, least favorite to most favorite. So I wrote everything down, put it in a spreadsheet, color-coded it, and then spent a couple days just making a list of my least favorite to most favorite. And initially it was just going to be some Facebook posts just to kind of have something to do. And then based on some suggestions, it turned into a podcast. And now we've been doing it since July, I think, of 2020. We've out of 223 songs, I think we're up to number 75 was our last one. So we've gone from 223 to 75. So there's like 74 more episodes to go. Yeah. So it's taken a while to get there. We'll have more episodes coming in a few weeks. I think later towards the end of the year, we'll kind of get more in a steady stream. It's been kind of a busy year, but we typically will have musicians or writers or authors or other, Beatle podcast people, Beatle content creators, Beatle authors on the show, musicians, songwriters, singers, etc., talking about kind of their relationship with the music, their thoughts on things, and then we'll bat around a song, kind of give my perspective of why I have it ranked where I do, what I like about it, what I may have gripes about, and then just kind of bat it around. It's really just a fun way to talk about 224 Beatles songs. So
it's fantastic. And, and Andy and I, we had a great time, appearing on the show. It was a lot of fun. You and Julia do a fantastic job. I love the back and forth between you two. And it's great stuff. And you've always have great guests on, between, like you said, Alan Kozin, you got the authors, you got great, musicians and some of us podcasters. So it's a good mix. It's a really good mix.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And you can find it anywhere you get podcasts. We're on Instagram and Facebook and Blue Sky. Just look up Ranking the Beatles. I think Blue Sky is Ranking Beatles, maybe. I forget. It's weird over there. But yeah, we're on. Just look us up. We're easy to find. And there's plenty of episodes if you want to start back at the beginning and catch up to it.
Yeah, I I'm jonesing to see what number one is. Obviously, at least the top 10. I can't wait for the top 10. But I'm looking forward to the next episode, and and that's the great thing is like people hate rankings, but they love to see where people put their rankings so they can argue or bitch or complain. It's like, how can you do this?
Yep. I can confirm that is exactly how it works.
Yes. Patrick says Ranking the Beatles is the name of the podcast. Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Yep.
There you go. He says, yep, there it is.
You can even scan that QR code right there.
Yeah. So he says 1 episode for each song. Great idea. Yeah, it's again fantastic. Yeah. You should check it out. All you gotta do is just Google Ranking the Beatles and podcast, and it'll pop up.
Easy to find.
Yeah. So Jonathan, I gotta tell you, it was an absolute treat, not only to see Paul McCartney, but also to hang out with you and Julia tonight. It was a great treat. I didn't get, I got in at 10:30 this morning, ventured out, got to Bourbon Street, but hanging out with you right before the show and now talking about tonight's show is definitely a treat. I really appreciate and glad you got to go to the show as well.
Agreed, man. I'm glad you were able to come down here for it. I was excited when you said you were trying to do that. I always tell people like one of the best things about doing this podcast is like all the great friends and people that we've met through this. Like we've really gotten to meet, and become friends with really cool people. And like, I love that we get to connect and do things like this and not only, enjoy the show together, have dinner, just kind of chat and hang out. And, it's always a good time. So glad we could make it happen.
Awesome. Appreciate it. So you have a wonderful night, my friend. Everybody out there have a great night. And thanks for staying up and watching. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
thanks, man.
Take care, everyone. Yep. Till the next show. Bye-bye.